What is up, YouTube? It is Docky or Docky Style Gaming, and I am back at it again with another GodFall video for you all today. Now, in this video, I am going to be breaking down all of the footage that we got yesterday because I decided to translate everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Originally, I was just going to do the character menu, but after messing with the character menu, I was like, let's see what the name of this mission is. Then I was like, well, what's the objective of the mission? Or what are these enemies called? And long story short, I wind up translating every single piece of footage I can find on this game. And luckily, I'm glad I did because I also found some footage where we got to hear a lot of the character dialogue, which, like I mentioned in my video yesterday, all of the dialogue was actually in English, but because most of the content creators from Japan were talking over it. So luckily I found a couple that gave us some surprising details on the main villain of the game, and it was able to let us translate the name of the main three characters of the game as well. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything that we got. I'm going to be going over the mission as a whole, both different parts, and then I'll be going over the character menu as well. Now, before I hop straight into all of that, I do want to say right now it is bandwagon season. For those of you who don't know what that means that when a game is about to come out, all the big deal YouTubers want to start covering that game last minute. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that just means my channel is probably going to be lost in the sea of all these content creators now starting to cover GodFall, like we saw happen a lot yesterday. A lot of content creators that have never covered this game are now starting to cover the game. So if you want to at least potentially still see my stuff pop up, please be sure to like the video because I know I'm going to be destroyed by the YouTube algorithm when it comes to the bigger content creators who are posting videos on GodFall and then ultimately give up on the game a month after release because they got their early hype views. So if you want to help out the channel a lot, just leave a like. Hell, if you dislike the video, leave a dislike because what most people don't know, dislikes help channel too. So be sure to do that. I would greatly appreciate it. And also, speaking of subscribers, thank you all for 6,000 subs. I meant to mention it yesterday, but I was just so happy to get out some of this GodFall content, I didn't even get to mention it, so thank you for that as well. And for those of you who know me and the channel, you know I always do a giveaway on a big subscriber milestone, so definitely stay tuned to the channel for that. But now that we got that mini bandwagon and disclaimer out of the way, let's hop into all of this new info that I managed to translate. So the mission opens essentially right after the main cinematic that we got to see a few days ago. We get to see our three protagonists, which we finally have named for. We have Orin, who is in the Silvermane Valorplate. We have Solus, who's in the Greyhawk Valorplate. And then lastly, the female who's in the Phoenix Valorplate's name was translated into Raven. Now, it might be pronounced differently, but that's what it was translated to.
Sir, you're still injured.
Doesn't matter. We have a job to do.
She won't want to leave the temple, Orin.
I know. I'm approaching the entrance. Won't be long now.
Good luck, Orin.
Now, the name of the first mission and objective is called The First Steps because this is in fact our tutorial mission. And the objective is to find the entrance of the Sunforge, and sometimes it's translated into the God Sunforge as well. So the mission starts with you, in fact, playing as Orin. I know some people were a bit confused because I know some of the devs said we were supposed to play as an avatar. So I don't know if maybe after the first mission, we'll be playing with somebody else, but for this mission for sure, we are playing as Orin. And essentially, you are fighting your way through the map till you get to the temple where you'll encounter your first boss. Now, as you're fighting through the mission, like I said, I did translate a couple of the enemy names, and some of them seem to be related to the region that they're in. So most of these enemies that we got to see were called Crimson something. So like the enemies we saw with the shotgun, their name was the Crimson Marksmen. The massive ones with the scythe-like swords were called the Crimson Judicators, and then your regular people with the blades were called your Crimson Swordsmen. Some of the creature type enemies that we got to see, one of them was called the Aberrant of the Earth. Now, aberrant means abnormal or atypical, so I don't know if they're called abnormals or something like that, but it was translated into aberrant. Now, when you encounter your first boss, his name was the High Road, which again, similar to Crimson, which means there's going to be different types of this boss, but this one was called a High Road Frankser. Again, this one was translated into two different names, but I can tell it's meant to say the same thing. It's just, it looks like it couldn't get its pronunciation right. But essentially, after you fight your first mini boss, which is the Hyro Frankencer, you ultimately end up crashing through the ground where you head to the second part of the mission. Now, once you're at the second part of that mission, you are encountered by a mysterious voice, and that's what it's translated into. We don't have an official name for it, it just said mysterious voice, but I was getting some evil Archon vibes from her, or really a better comparison is Athena from God of War vibes. Now, this next part of the mission is called the Temple of the Sunforge, and your objective is to proceed to the back of the Temple of the Sunforge. Now, while you're fighting and making your way through the back, you also find out what Macros' true intentions are, and is actually offered aid by this mysterious voice in favor of doing something that apparently Orin won't like.
What do you think will happen if Macros succeeds?
He becomes a god, and the world as we know it will end.
I feel you may be right. Your odds are 1,000 to 1. But I'll help you. On one condition.
What is it?
You won't like it, Orin.
And similar to the first part of the mission, the second part ends with a boss fight as well, with the boss whose name was translated into Solaris, which definitely makes sense with the place being called a Sunforge. If you get the meaning behind Solaris, definitely makes sense. But once you beat him, you essentially rip out his eye and you shove it into your chest, where you gain some form of an extra sight that allows you to view the hall with all of the Valorplates in it. And then we're pretty much towards the end of the mission, where you are in the 7th Sanctum, and you essentially finally get to see the last 2 Valorplates that have yet to be shown off. Now, personally, the blue female Valorplate design that we haven't seen yet kind of looks like a peacock to me, if I'm being real. Just the designs, the draping on the front of the armor, and even how the helmet looks, how it looks like it has the tails of the peacock on the top of the head. It kind of looks like a peacock. It'd be a weird one, but that's kind of what it looks like. But then the second one, we also get to see, I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Like I said, it has a very humanoid face, but upon closer inspection, you can see some type of creature design on the arm and legs, and it's some form of a 6-legged creature. Now, part of me thought it might be a scorpion, but I think scorpions have more than 6 legs. I'm not really sure about that. I don't know when the last time I've ever seen a scorpion was. So, I mean, maybe it could be scorpion. That would be kind of dope, actually. And Scorpio is an astrological sign. You know what? I'm gonna dub it the Scorpion Valorplate. So let's just call it that. We have our pseudo female Scorpion Valorplate, and we have our female blue peacock Valorplate as of right now. So that was pretty much the main tutorial mission in a nutshell. Now, some things that I did want to make note of that I completely didn't even address in the first video was how fast these load times were. Now, I know I've been getting a lot of people saying that the enemies looked easy, but trust me, the way I cut my last video and posted some of the footage, if you watched all of the videos I watched, these YouTubers were getting destroyed. Like, they were dying left and right. And I'm not saying it was because they were bad, but clearly after watching the gameplay, I can definitely tell what Counterplay Games was going with in terms of their fighting mechanics. It is a lot more technical than it seems, but thanks to them dying a lot, we got to see how fast the game loads, and literally within a second of dying, you just respawn instantly. Like, the SSD on the PS5 is going to be dope. Like, loading is a thing of the past now, and I'm so happy and I'm so ready for PS5 right now. But then again, like I said, I've seen a lot of people comment on the comment how they look stiff, but again, it's the tutorial mission. I think they're meant to take it easy on you, but at the same time, like I said, I saw a lot of people were not even making it past the first mini boss. Like, their footage just stopped after the first mini boss because they couldn't beat it, or they just kept dying. And even some of the enemies before, like, there was one dude who played almost the whole mission on like 1 HP and he was just dodging. It was the greatest thing ever. But yeah, so trust me, I'm sure that the combat mechanics is completely different post tutorial mission, but we'll have to wait and see ultimately when we get some more gameplay footage. But now let's hop over to the character menu, which I'm sure most people want to find out what everything means as well. So let's start with the very top of the screen, or the top of the menu, where we have our equipment tab, which is the screen that you're currently on. Then right next to the equipment tab, you have armory, then it's skill, your material tab, your social tab, codex tab, and then the last tab is performance, which I'm assuming is mean to be your settings tab. Now on the very far right, you have your level and experience bar. Then if we just drop down all the way to the bottom, we have our buttons, which R3 is considered, or at least was translated into your Archon habits, which I'm assuming means your Archon mode. And L3 was translated into beautiful clothing, which I'm sure means your customization. And circle was just to close the menu. Now right above the 8 different equipment slots, we have your L2, which is for your equipment, and then you have your R2, which is for your augment tab. And then under that you have that golden box, which literally just says Silvermane Valorplate. And when we see the character, the big font at the bottom literally just says Silvermane Valorplate also, even though it's translated into Valorplate, but I know what they mean to say. But alright, let's move over to the stat portion now, because I'm sure that's what most people are wanting to know about. So we have our colored numbers, which I've covered before in videos, but the red number is essentially your might, blue is your spirit, and green is your vitality. Might increases your DPS and damage, spirit is for ability cooldowns, and vitality clearly is for your health. Now right underneath those colored numbers, you also have 2 sets of DPS numbers. Now the one on your left is called your main DPS, and the one on the right was translated into sub DPS. And underneath both your DPSs, you have what is translated into maximum health or maximum HP. And then moving on to the percentages now, it's split up into 2 categories. So the top category is called your battle, and then the bottom category is considered your attributes. So for the first row, it is your critical hit rate, then right underneath is your critical hit damage bonus, and then underneath that, the very last one is your damage bonus on weak points. Now when moving on to attributes, it seems like it's mainly focused on your resistances because of how it was described. So the first one is essentially like a resistance to bleeding. The next one is combustion, which I'm assuming is fire. Then you have cold, which is ice. You have electric resistance, poison resistance, and then cursed resistance, which is a new one that we haven't heard of yet. So I'm interested to see what type of enemies will give you cursed status effects and what cursed actually does as a status effect. But that's pretty much the character menu in a nutshell on what I was able to translate, which was everything on that screen. Luckily took a few different sites because some things weren't translating, but I was able to get it all for that page in particular, which was the one screen that I really wanted to try and translate everything on. So I'm gonna end it right there. Let me know what you guys think about the story, what y'all think about some of the dialogue as well, if this mysterious voice is gonna pretty much Athena, our main character. If you play God of War, you know what I'm talking about. And again, be sure to leave this video a like so it doesn't get lost in all of the YouTube algorithm. Definitely be sure to like it if you like the video, or dislike it if you didn't. Again, both help as well. Again, thank you for 6,000 subs. I will catch you all in the next one. Links to all my social media accounts are in the video description. I am out of here, guys. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the subs. Peace.